UDA government and Kenya Kwanza speak for itself. But today, because of this continued choreography of fairly heartbreaking events, we felt it necessary to have this press conference and speak to some of the inherent issues facing us as a nation and give our position as a party, which is also, by extension, our position as a government. I'm joined here by all the directors of the UDA party, represented by Brian Bugwa, who is the Deputy Executive Director, Director Margaret, Director Sam, Director Mulo, Director Grace, Director Halake, Director Nathaniel, and Director Gilo, who is familiar to all of you. So this is our UDA statement on the violent protests, looting, and destruction of property of yesterday, Wednesday, 25th June 2025. The UDA party unequivocally affirms the constitutional rights of all Kenyans to assemble and to protest peacefully. These rights are enshrined in Chapter 4 of our Constitution, must be promoted and protected with utmost zeal and commitment. Equally though, the constitutional mandate of any government is to not only protect the rights of its citizens, but also preserve the political stability of the nation, by creating an environment for the enjoyment of these rights. Further, never and never can anyone purport to invoke rights provided for in the Constitution to attain unconstitutional objectives and provide a veil of cover, sanitizing criminality, including wanton destruction of property, looting, and a vivid affront towards attempting the collapse of the state and government and to precipitate a climate of anarchy. The violence resulting to the destruction of property, including public infrastructure, unabated looting, arson, and sadly rape, a new law in Kenya's protest history, guised as a human rights agenda through either innocent or conscious complicity of Kenya's human rights community, has irked my and our consciousness immensely. A continuous charade to mobilize mayhem and or provide cover for mayhem, quoted under the flavor of rights agitation, occasioning significant loss of lives and livelihoods, as witnessed yesterday and in the past, is no longer tenable. The government will assert its absolute duty to protect, to ensure that such carnage is never again witnessed under the guise of human rights or by the GenZs. This violence has been a culmination of prolonged, unchecked, deliberate, and serial incitement, which some of you regard as freedom of expression, by individuals and part of the mainstream media through perverse narratives of shareholding, contesting the inclusion of all Kenyans of all extractions, no matter how inconsequential they might appear, into various spheres of our national life. The inclusion of all Kenyans to the exclusion of none, and a fair and equitable spread of development to all corners of this country is no longer a conversation. It is the reality and practice of our Kenya Kwanza and broad-based government. Kenya can no longer be built on the foundations where part of her are developed and others marginalized, where part are educated while others are led to drift further into undereducation and underdevelopment, others super citizens and others lesser citizens, others entitled while others deliberately disenfranchised, through systemic state action since independence 60 years ago. The national project of building a modern and inclusive Kenya by His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto and Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, together with Excellency Professor Kithure Kindiki and other courageous sons and daughters of the soil, to include Her Excellency Governor Mbarire, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, Honorable Eric Wamumbi, Honorable Betty Maina, among others, gallant Kenyans, is neither negotiable nor reversible. The coalition of the willing is a high calling of our leadership to eternally put to rest the injustices, inequalities, and the exclusion meted out by a combined 50 years of Kenya's ruling oligarchy. It is by no means a coincidence that the oligarchs and their collaborators who own Kenya's mainstream media not only oppose President Ruto's bid for president, but have deliberately attempted to undermine his transformative agenda with little success. To further sabotage the national project, the oligarchs-owned media, with their collaborators, have continued to vilify Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga for closing ranks with President Ruto. Their fodder for survival, dominance, and continuity preys on malice, hatred, and division, and a continued disenfranchisement of others to create a perpetual, let me repeat that. Their fodder for survival, dominance, and continuity preys on malice, hatred, and division, and a continued disenfranchisement of others to create and perpetuate artificial minorities and an enduring class of the poor. While the media has a choice to undermine and sabotage the national project and vilify everything William Ruto, undermining the security of the state and the unity of the nation is a choice you don't have. We reiterate our call to exercise responsibility. We seek no favors, but urge responsibility, recognizing that the rights provided for do not exist in absolutism, and the ultimate duty to preserve the unity, security, and continuity of the nation rests with the state. Equally, no Kenyan or leader has a choice or latitude to incite others to destruction and disorder. Under the leadership of His Excellency President William Ruto, the state will remain strong as Commander-in-Chief, and the nation shall remain one and indivisible under the national project of an inclusive and fair government under God. We commend our police officers who exhibited enormous courage and restraint at the face of violent GenZs and opportunistic mobs. A number of them endured physical assault and injury by protesters whose